What's up everybody, and welcome to channel update number 2. In the previous video I talked about my goal for this YouTube channel, which was to gain mastery at data science. And now in this video I want to talk about my first big project that I want to undertake in the context of pursuing this goal. Namely, the project is to finish 5 Kaggle competitions in the top 10%. To be more specific, what I want to do is I want to finish 5 completed Kaggle competitions in the top 10%. And the reason why I only want to do completed competitions is, instead of active ones, is that this way I can look up what other people have done to get good results and then learn from that. And by taking this approach, I should then actually be able to get into the top 10% of the competitions. And another more practical reasons for doing only completed competitions is that this way I don't have to wait until the competition is finished to see how I have actually ranked. Okay, so that is what the project is generally about. However, on top of that, I would like to introduce 2 more restrictions in order to narrow down the scope of this project. So the first restriction is that I only want to do competitions with tabular data. So at the moment, I'm not really interested in doing competitions about computer vision or natural language processing. That's something that I want to do more in depth later on. And then the second restriction is that I only want to use traditional machine learning algorithms like random forest or logistic regression. So at the moment, I'm not interested in using deep learning algorithms. That's also something that I want to do more in depth later on. Okay, so that's the scope of the project. And now let me list out all the things that I think I will need in order to complete this project. And the first thing that I will need is some knowledge about Kaggle itself. And that's just so that I understand how the website is actually structured. And this is because this way I'm then best prepared to make the most of all the available resources, and therefore then make sure that I learn as much as possible from the competitions. Then next up, I will also need some knowledge about machine learning, and here in particular I will need to know how the machine learning process generally works, so how to prepare the data and how to train and evaluate machine learning models. And then I will also need to know how the machine learning algorithms themselves work. And here I made this separation between the process and the algorithms because technically you would only need to know how the machine learning process works in order to finish a Kaggle competition. For example, you could simply use a grid search to find the best values for a specific for the hyperparameters of a specific algorithm. However, you're obviously better prepared to train an algorithm if you actually know how that algorithm works. So that's why I made this separation here. Okay, so then lastly, I will also need some knowledge about the actual tools to implement this project. And here, first and foremost, I will need to know Python. And that's because Python is probably the most used programming language in the field of machine learning, so it makes sense to have a solid understanding of that. And then with that as the foundation, I will also need some knowledge about some specific Python libraries. And here I will need to know, in order to load data and manipulate the data, I will need to know pandas. Then in order to visualize the data and do exploratory data analysis, I will need to know a plotting library. And here I'm actually not sure which one I should learn, so that's why I wrote down matplotlib and plotly. And then lastly, to do the actual machine learning, I will need to know scikit-learn. Okay, so those are all the things that I think I will need in order to finish the project. And for all those topics here, I will create tutorials. And here you might think that it is actually not really necessary to study all those things here in depth if I just want to finish 5 Kaggle competitions. And you might be right if I actually just wanted to finish them, because in that case I could, for example, just go to the Kaggle forums and see what other people have done and then simply copy what I need in order to get into the top 10%. However, at the end of this project, my goal is to be able to basically pick a competition at random and then be able to get good results without looking anything up in the Kaggle forums. And therefore I will need a solid understanding of all those listed things here. Okay, so now let me write out the actual order in which I want, or in which I intend to learn all those things here. That way then you know which tutorials you can expect next. So first I will cover Python, pandas, and then a plotting library. After that I will get to the machine learning part, and here I've also written down the algorithms that I want to cover. And as you can see, I've already covered 3 of those, namely decision trees, random forest, and naive Bayes. So then after that I will cover scikit-learn and Kaggle, and then lastly I will do the 5 Kaggle competitions. And here I've also listed down the first 2 competitions that I want to do, namely the Titanic competition and the house prices competition. And for both of these competitions already a lot of people have participated, so I think that's why they are a good starting point for this project here. Okay, so that's the roadmap for completing the project, and with that we have basically reached the end of this video. But before I actually end it, I want to refer back to the previous video. In that video I said that my goal was to gain mastery at data science, and the way that I decided to measure that mastery was to use the number of subscribers on my YouTube channel. So what I now would like to do is to make a prediction how the number of subscribers will grow during and after this project. Namely, my prediction is that I will be at this stage here with 20 to 40,000 subscribers after I've uploaded the last video for this project here. And actually I even hope that I'm one stage above that at 100,000 subscribers. And the reason why I think that this will happen is because by completing this project I will have basically created a single resource where somebody can go from knowing nothing about Python to getting good results at a Kaggle competition. And I think that this would represent a very valuable resource for someone who wants to learn about machine learning. So we will see how good that prediction actually is once I'm done. And with that, now there's basically only one more thing left to say, namely, let's get to work. So thanks for watching, and hopefully I will see you in one of my next videos.